Crayons. A Crucible map is divided over the best crayon flavor. The clan of Shoulders and clan of Apes fight in a bloody war over which crayon flavor is the best. This devastating war rages on as the warlocks and hunters sit back and enjoy the chaos. But which clan will come out on top? Who will be the victor in this ridiculous war? Only time will tell.
Admit it, red is better.
Well, actually, blue is clearly superior, stupid.
Guys, what if we just mix them and make purple?
So, you want to be a Titan main, huh? Well, take a seat, my young crayon enthusiast, because it's time you learn the basics. Okay, bit aside, there is a lot to cover here. I'm not kidding, we have to go over every Titan subclass and each tree within those subclasses, not to mention your abilities, etc., and how they all work in PvE and PvP. It's gonna be a long day, so strap in. Our final tree within the Solar subclass is none other than Code of the Devastator. Instead of us getting the little one, we now have to wield the big one. Sorry Cap, you had your chance. Jokes aside, this subclass is the best hands down because of one reason and one reason only. Hammer Bonk! Boy howdy, you get to throw a mini hammer and bonk your enemies. Here, have a bonk. Have another bonk. Maybe one more bonk. And you want to know what's even better? Picking up the hammer regenerates your health. Okay. Calm down. Let's stay focused. Besides, the very fun throwing hammer, you can also have a buff called Roaring Flames, which, when you get kills with your solar abilities, increases those abilities' damage. This stacks up to 3 times. When activating your super, you summon a big hammer and you crush your enemies with it. Hitting the ground with this hammer sends out a similar wave as to the thermite grenade. Okay, so let's start with Code of the Fireforged. To start with, you have your melee ability. This, after sprinting for a short period of time, allows you to swing a hammer that will weaken enemies. A buff you can get when you use this class is called Tempered Metal, which, when getting solar ability kills, grants you and your allies bonus movement and reload speed. A perk to your hammers is when you get kills with your super, they explode! They also, and to quote the wiki here, shatter into explosive molten embers on impact, which basically means they deal a bit of extra damage. A good exotic to run with this tree is the MK44 Stanicides, which grants overshield when you're sprinting at full health when using either Hammer Strike, Seismic Strike, or Shield Bash. We will talk about the other 2 shoulder charge variants later in this video. Speaking of exotics, with this subclass comes 4 handy exotics. You have the Ashen Wake, which now makes fusion grenades explode on impact and gain increased throw speed. Final blows with fusion grenades grant grenade energy. There's also the Hallowfire Heart, which improves the recharge rate of your solar abilities, greatly improves the recharge rate while your super is charged. And then you have the MK44 Stanicides, which we've already spoken about. And finally the Phoenix Cradle, which allows Sun Warrior to last twice as long. Allies who pass through your sunspots are granted Sun Warrior. We will get more into Sun Warrior when we talk about Code of the Siegebreaker. Personally, I run Hallowfire Heart since I like when my abilities are up and ready for when I need them, but that's simply a personal preference. Welcome to Code of the Siegebreaker. With this subclass, you now have access to a slightly different style of gameplay. With this subclass, you can have a little fun melee ability. You no longer have your shoulder charge, but instead, you get Mortar Burn. This melee ability lets you strike an enemy to release a solar explosion, setting nearby enemies on fire. This is fun for burning your enemies while whittling them down with gunfire. You also get an overall buff called Sol Evictus. This allows solar ability kills to restore your health. Grenade, melee ability, and Sun Warrior kills leave a deadly sunspot in their wake. If an enemy stands in your sunspot, they will take damage. Speaking of sunspots, passing through a sunspot causes your grenade and melee abilities to recharge faster and your super to last longer. It also increases all damage you do. How do you get these sunspots, you might ask? Well, my crayon-addicted friend, you simply get kills with your super. Also, fun fact, while standing in sunspots, you throw hammers faster. Our final tree within the solar subclass is none other than Code of the Devastator. Instead of us getting the little one, we now have to wield the big one. Sorry Cap, you had your chance. Jokes aside, this subclass is the best hands down because of one reason and one reason only. Hammer bonk! Boy howdy, you get to throw a mini hammer and bonk your enemies. Here, have a bonk. Have another bonk. Maybe one more bonk. And you want to know what's even better? Picking up the hammer regenerates your health. Okay. Calm down. Let's stay focused. Besides, the very fun throwing hammer, you can also have a buff called Roaring Flames, which, when you get kills with your solar abilities, increases those abilities' damage. This stacks up to 3 times. When activating your super, you summon a big hammer and you crush your enemies with it. Hitting the ground with this hammer sends out a similar wave as to the thermite grenade. Welcome to the Electric Boogaloo subclass, aka the Arc subclass. To begin, you have 3 different types of grenades. The Flashbang grenade, which gives off a blinding explosion that disorientates enemies it damages. Your second is the Pulse grenade, that gradually damages enemies inside an explosive radius. It's great for preventing enemies from getting a teammate revived in certain game modes. The final grenade is the Lightning grenade. This grenade sticks to any surface and emits a bolt of lightning in a cone shape. You can even leave it lying around like an empty beer bottle, and someone will accidentally walk into it. Your movement and class abilities are the same across all these subclasses, so there's no need to go over all those again. Welcome to the I love using my shoulder as a weapon. Hey, that was a fun one-hit kill, let's do it again, tree. With that being said, let's smoothly transition into your first ability while using this tree, the Shoulder Charge. After sprinting for a short time, use this melee ability to slam shoulder first into your target and release an arc explosion on impact. This basically takes out most enemies in one hit, so go nuts, I guess. I will secretly despise you while you do it though. Anyway, next is a fun little gimmick where if you get damage / get a kill with your shoulder charge, you tend to recharge your grenade. So now Father Shax will praise you for
throw grenades!
You also gain an additional grenade charge with this tree, but you'll have to charge both grenades separately. Finally, the super itself, Fists of Havoc. Fist of Havoc's ground slam attack leaves a damage-dealing field in its wake and deals more damage the longer it's in the air. So basically, go nuts. Oh boy, the big boy itself. Welcome to... Oh!
Ho ho ho, Thundercrash baby! This is the best dinosaur you've ever seen! You get to turn yourself into a freaking missile. Like, listen, you know Rick and Morty? I turn yourself into a fucking pickle. Turn yourself into a goddamn missile. Alright? I'm gonna tell you. It's pretty fucking cool. After sprinting, you leap in the air and you press the melee button. You can, like, slam to the ground, but it only works, like, maybe 3% of the time. So, I mean, I don't know fucking know. But it's still freaking cool. Alright? The damage you're gonna run you nearby targets, kind of flying, you fucking put the boom archers, and you're having a fucking field day out there. Alright? And then when you hit him with the ground slam, I'm pretty sure you surrender. I don't fucking know, because I'm too high, and the shit know what I'm doing. And then you slide, call it initial override, fuck, I know. I'm too high to do this shit. When you pick up ammo during your slide, reload your goddamn weapon, increase your weapon damage for a short time. Not a short time. Listen, I'm a little bit of an adrenaline junkie, so... You know, I try my best to do whatever I can. It's pretty fucking cool. Alright. Finally, the super itself. Like I said, you're a fucking missile. Like a pickle, you're a missile. Basically, same goddamn thing. So I have fun exploiting your shit. And with a missile.
How the hell did he even get in the recording studio? Oh, whatever. Where was I? Oh, right. The exotics. Some really handy exotics for this subclass would be an insurmountable skull fort, which, when you get kills with arc melee abilities, trigger health regeneration and restore melee energy. Another good one is Eternal Warrior, which gives you an overshield while using Fist of Havoc. As mentioned earlier, MK44 stand-asides is good for your shoulder charge if you like overshields. And finally, for Thundercrash, you have Curus of the Falling Star, which increases Thundercrash damage. Good for taking out bosses in PvE, but we'll touch more on that later. Welcome to our second to last subclass, Sentinel. With this subclass comes 3 more trees to select from. To begin with, you have Code of the Protector. This branch allows you to cast a protective bubble to defend yourself and your allies. It also increases weapon damage and gives you an overshield for a short period of time. Melee kills restore your health for you and your nearby allies. When you defeat an enemy with your charged melee ability, it will create an overshield around you and nearby allies. Final blows grant melee energy when this overshield is active. Your overshield from defensive strike lasts longer and increases melee damage and reload speed. Next is Code of the Aggressor. This tree allows you to bash enemies with a shield after sprinting for a short time. Grenade kills recharge your grenade energy, and kills while surrounded by enemies reduce the cooldown of your super. Speaking of super, with this tree you gain an additional shield throw. The final tree is Code of the Commander. This one is really good for PvE. When you hit a target with a Void ability, it attaches a Void detonator. Further hits cause the detonator to explode, dealing damage to surrounding targets. You and your nearby allies will regain health as well as grenade and melee energy when your Void detonators explode. Strike an enemy with this melee ability to cause a Void explosion. Guarding with Sentinel Shield creates a defensive wall. Allies can shoot through the wall and have increased weapon damage, and guarding allies makes the shield last longer. Ursa Ferosa is a good exotic to pair with this tree. Speaking of exotics... Some exotics that are good for this subclass would be Doomfang Pauldron, which allows void melee kills to give super energy. While Sentinel Shield is active, melee kills recharge your shield throw, which extends your super on hits. There's also the Helm of Saint 14, which blinds enemies that enter the Ward of Dawn. While allies pass through it, gain an overshield. Guarding with Sentinel Shield blinds enemies. Ursa Ferosa, as mentioned earlier, allows players to move faster while guarding with the Sentinel Shield. Guarded damage converts to your super energy when the super ends. There's also no backup plans, which, when getting a kill with a shotgun, immediately consumes your fully charged melee energy and gives you an overshield. Note, your melee has to be fully charged for this to activate. And as mentioned twice already, MK44 stand-asides. Now, we'll be right back after these messages. Hey you! Yes, you there in the back, sitting by yourself. Do you ever wonder where I get all these clips from, and how the content on this channel is made? Well, turns out I have a Twitch channel. So if you're interested in seeing the behind the scenes of these videos, or funny moments making them, then check me out over at twitch.tv/fawnumbrella612. Now, back to your regularly scheduled program. The final subclass is none other than everyone's favorite, Stasis. Yay! With Stasis, you have access to many different aspects to play around with to suit your style of gameplay. Tectonic Harvest allows you to shatter a stasis crystal and create a stasis shard. This shard grants melee energy when you pick it up for you and nearby allies. Cryoclasm enables a longer and more powerful slide. Sliding into stasis crystals or frozen targets shatters them at any nearby frozen targets. Howl of the Storm uses a charged melee ability while sliding to launch stasis energy. This will freeze targets and create stasis crystals. The final aspect is the Diamond Lance, which, when you shatter or defeat targets with stasis abilities, creates a stasis lance. Throw the lance to freeze targets on impact. Slam the lance into the ground to freeze targets in a small area. Your super for this is a Darkness subclass, forges a mighty stasis gauntlet, and even in the odds, one fist at a time. Slam the gauntlet into the ground, sending forth a shockwave of stasis crystals that freeze nearby enemies. Your charged melee ability summons a stasis gauntlet and lunges you forward with an explosive speed, smashing through anything in their way. Upon reaching their target, they unleash a devastating jab that sends forth a foe careening backwards while slowing nearby enemies. You get 3 types of grenades with the Stasis subclass. First is the Glacial Grenade, that, upon contact with the ground, forms a wall of stasis crystals, and nearby enemies are frozen within. The second is the Duskfield Grenade, that creates a, well, dusk field that slows and freezes enemies that stay in it for too long. The third and final grenade is the Cold Snap Grenade, that upon impact with the ground or an enemy, this grenade unleashes a wave of stasis energy that races along the ground in the direction of the closest enemy, freezing them and then searching out for another target to freeze. You can freeze up to 3 enemies with a single Cold Snap Grenade. Your lifts and barricade abilities carry over to stasis, and there aren't anything different with them, so I won't go into detail about them again. That's the final subclass for Titans, so now let's move on to something more fun.
So, what is it like being a Titan main?
I rip the heads from my enemies, and as I scream in terror, I eat my crayons in front of them. It is very fun. You should try it sometime.
Why do you think Titan is the superior class?
The crayon parades we have, they are very fun. There's pink, and blue, and orange, and other shit.
What is your favorite subclass to play on a Titan, and why?
Probably Siegebreaker, because I get to cook my enemies alive. They slowly cook it to meat, and then I turn them into crayons.
Do crayons turn you on?
They don't turn me on. Or they are way too messy. Let's see that.
What do you do in your free time when you're not either slaying gods or stomping on blueberries?
Eating crayons.
Is it worth becoming a Titan main?
Hell no, you get a crayon addiction. It's a pain in the ass.
Okay, so now that we've covered everything regarding subclasses and the best exotics to run for them, now let's get into the meat of this. Welcome to PvE, the game mode that allows you to slaughter tons of enemies and leave their children as orphans. You monster. Anywho, PvE. What is it? Well, PvE is basically a playground for you to go nuts with your different abilities and supers. There are certain supers that are better for certain activities. For example, Grandmaster Nightfalls. For these, you might want to run either Sentinel's Code of the Commander or Ward of Dawn, paired with their respective exotics, of course. Gambit, you might prefer Thunder Crash paired with Falling Star, but then again, Who plays Gambit? Welcome to the sweatfest known as the Crucible. The Crucible is the house for all of Destiny's PvP activities, ranging from Control to Competitive, to Iron Banner and Trials of Osiris. But we aren't here to talk over those game modes, only how Titans can interact with them. In this you can kind of go any way you want, either run around a la Captain America, or disintegrate people with your fists. Or run around with a shotgun like the monkey ape that you are. That's right! Shotgun aping is an option with the Titan class. Got no skill with supers or your abilities or any other gun? No need to worry. Just throw on a shotgun and go crazy. It's that easy. All you have to do is sprint, slide, and bam! They're dead.
And thus the dark days of the Grand War were brought to an end by a mighty Titan who turned himself into a missile. It truly was the funniest shit I have ever was seen.
Language, grandfather.
What happened next, Grandpa?
Next? Well, what happened next was this. I brought peace, freedom, justice, and security to my crayon empire. Your next, bitch.
Well, that covers all the basics for Titans. I hope you all enjoyed the video because I certainly enjoyed making it. This will be the kickoff to a series I hope to continue. Next we'll be covering Hunters and all their jazz. Yes, that includes Shatter Dive. I also hope to branch this series out to other games like Halo and maybe Call of Duty. Hell, maybe even Minecraft if this thing goes well. Only time will tell. So for now, leave a like if you enjoyed the video, and who knows, maybe you'll get a cookie if you subscribe. Only one way to find out. See you all next time. Stay frosty.